Hey, this is Albie the Bee Man. Been a while. This is Saturday, October around, I guess around the 13th, 14th, somewhere up in there, middle of the month. We worked on our bees today. We put our sugar on top of them today. We use just some waxed paper or something. We used to use newspaper, but once they started condensating in the hive, the newspaper fell apart so fast and it created mold issues. So we've tried a little of everything, but it seems like parchment paper or wax paper, it all seems to do pretty good. We got back up here this evening. We're working on trying to get our blankets on. We're going to go ahead and set our burlap sacks on. We use a Vivaldi type sort of a board, sort of a shim board. It's got some vent around it. That gives us room to put our sugar in, and then we cap it off with a little bit of sack, and then we can watch our sacks according to how heavy the hive is and how much condensation. If sack starts to getting wet, that means we're getting too hot. Sometimes if we see we're getting a colder winter, we'll double up on the sacks. For now, we're going to put one on there to conserve the heat for the brood that's in there. We went through them day before yesterday, and we put on our European foul brood. We had a couple hives that had a little in it. We made up a little concoction there with some eucalyptus and camphor and tea tree oil and things like that, and soaked it in some towels and throwed it on there for them, and hopefully that's going to clear out what couple hives that we had. It wasn't real bad, but still we wish we hadn't done them all just to make for certain, make sure everybody got the same dosage. We give them double probiotics this year to ensure that we got pretty healthy hives. All of our feed, we use Pro Health in the feed from Man Lake, and that gives them all the medications and stuff, sets their guts up for the winter time. We've not ever had no eczema in our hives because we've always done this same scenario every year. We start out the 1st of October. It's when the dearth usually hits around here in western North Carolina, and we do a 1-to-1 ratio on all of our feeds. We give them a gallon about every 5 days or so. Once they're out, we check it and we make sure that they get it back on there. We don't let them go days on end without having their feed on them. So pretty much, we know we're getting a gallon a week. So that starts in the 1st of August, and then we go all the way up into September, and then we'll check our hives for weight. And this year, all of our hives is pretty heavy except for a couple, but we'll give them 2-to-1 on that feedings when we need to for the last few feeds. And then yesterday, we finished up getting all of our buckets off. We took all the feeders off and went ahead and put the dry sugar back on top. I know a lot of people say they just carry the sugar out and don't need it or don't eat it. I've always had good success with our sugar. We see them eating it. We don't see it piled up on the front of the hives anywhere. If they're carrying it out like people say they're doing, then I'm sure we'd see it piled up in the bottom of the hives, But our bees, they eat the sugar, and they do well with it. And then when it gets up around 1st of March or so around here, we'll push all the bees down and put a trickle flow back on them and set the pollen. We use a pollen substitute outside. Sometimes we'll use a little in the hive if need be. But all of our hives, we have poplar around here, and it pulls out a lot of pollen. We've got a freezer full down yonder, so if I see that our hives are needing poplar early, if we try to save our poplar for our nukes when we make some nukes up in the year, but we'll go ahead and add that to it in flavor if we need to. But we try to use our outside pollen feeders if we need, and we go ahead and put a little of that on about the middle of February, and then they'll take it as they need if they need it, and that little trickle flow gets the queen sort of ramped up and does her thing until we need to start moving things around and watching for cells being drawn and all that good jazz. We try to get us a little field force build up early so we can get us a good honey crop. Every year we started out, when it first started out, we wasn't getting them. I maybe got a couple gallons off of a hive, when it's all said and done. And now I can get about close to 5 gallons on a super. We checkerboard the hives out and stuff like that, and we try to tend to them. It's a lot of work. People wants to get into bees. They talk about, we want to do it, and we like to see the sea of everything, what they're looking at. But once they get into it and see how hard it is, I'd say at least 75-80% of them bow out after the first season. My neighbors down here, they had them a couple of hives. I tried to kick in to help them. They didn't want my help. I said, it's fine. You know, I'm not pressing myself on no one. But they lost their bees that year, you know. And now the hives, they sit down there until they rotted down and never seen them no more. But we've been started out with 2 hives. We have run upwards of 200. I pushed them down this year. I'm running 55 this year is all I've got left. Next year, I might even push it down a little bit more. I'm getting up in the years. Don't feel like pushing so hard, you know. I figured I've got this 1 yard right here it's got 15 hives on it, the big hives. It's set up nice. I can work it good what I need to. And I can work these hives. I've had these hives 8 feet tall and honey stacked up on each one. So it's plenty for me and enough money for me and my wife. It's just a side hustle. I've got like 4 different agencies that I work for, plus the state of North Carolina, doing work, and keeps us busy. And we got people. I'm a general contractor, and they like for me to build houses and do things. We got a new house getting ready to kick off down in Madison County, and we're going to try to build a spec house for ourselves up here. We got machines coming in on Monday, start to do a little grade work, so it's pretty exciting. But anyway, back to the bees. We're turn this around here, show you what we're going to be doing here. This is the little yard I was telling you about. I'm going to try to just push it back into play, and probably just use the other yard and nuke it out, sell it out, and all this we used to have full, all this out in the front, all the way up through here, that was all nukes. Now all this down through here was all nukes at one time. And you can see now, I don't think we've got but maybe 10 or 12 or something like that down through here. Just enough to bank them back in. I know we'll lose. I've always lost at least 20, 25%. And I requeen every year. I do all the things you're supposed to do. It's just the way, it's just life, you know. That's why you just say, you try to build you up a good score extra on the side to replenish what you got so that you can get them going and then rebank them up again, you know. It's a never-ending cycle. It's a lot of work. But anyway, I'll show you what we've done here. Got the old smoker boy. She's a going to town, ain't she? I found out something when you're on wood chips, when you're firing up your wood chips there, don't hit the bellows so hard like that, you know. Once you get it started, let your bottom end chip burn for about 5 minutes is fine, you know, in a good blaze. Once you take your torch out, and then once they get burning, you can put you a few chips back down on them and let it smother out, and then you hit it. Go ahead and pump it up hard for, you know, about, I don't know, 25 pumps or so, and then just stop, and then just barely ease it in like that, and you'll see you smoke inside your pot. It'll start getting a real deep yellow glow to it. When it gets really deep and you can't see through it, then you know your embers are cooking good. That wood chips will last you for a long time, all day. You don't have to go back like with pine needles and stuff and replenish the hive. And I've filled these pots up with pine needles and pressed them in hard and done all the things everybody says. They just don't last, and they make a big mess too. But I use the pine chips. I found out the pine, you can get them at Ace for like $7 or $8, I think, for 25 pounds or so, or something like that. I don't know. It's a big bag, and it's pine, and it's a cooler smoke than the apple chips and the oaks and all those other mesquites and stuff that's going on out there. But you can get a good deal. They'll ship them in to you. So just go to your local Ace and say, I'm looking for the pine bark nuggets for grilling and stuff. And they'll show you what they got. It's a good deal. But anyway, yeah, I wouldn't go no other way. We have an electric smoker up there that does really good too. I really like it, but it burns it up fast because it pushes a lot of air over when you hit the fans on it. So, but anyway, let's open up this hive here. I'm just going to see if I can ease it up. There we go. I don't know what they're doing. They ain't doing a whole lot, and that's good. We put about 4 pounds or so on each one. Leave it open on each end so they can get up in here. And we'll go back. We'll get us one of these blankets here. We can get us one here. This is a good one. It has a hole that will get them feeding. And when you get them in there, you want to make sure that you push them down out of your vent hole so your vent can get in. and leave yourself a little air there. See, there's your vent right here. You got a vent over here, a vent there, and you got one back here in the back. And that'll hold the heat in for them. Keep them warm. They can get back up under there and get to that sugar. They'll cut their way eventually through all those parchment papers. They'll eat it. They'll come up around the ends too when they need. But they've got a super full of honey too. Sometimes I put the sugar on, and I'll come back in the season. In the beginning of the season, not a bit of that honey has been poured or ate on, and every bit of the sugar's been eaten. And the hives were thriving heavy. So, you know, when people say they don't eat the majority of it, I just have to disagree with them, because I've watched them through the years. I've tried different methods for feeding these bees. And to me, this method here, you know, some people like their hives to be solid, tight. I don't think, it's like my papa always said, even though we had no house down there, well, we had an old wood stove in it, but when Papa built that thing, he didn't have no insulation and all that in it, but that house stayed warm and comfortable when I was growing up all my life. And my papa said, house has to breathe, you know. Same way these hives, I feel like they got to breathe a little bit, you know, get a little air through them. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But you can control the influx of air through your vent tops with these burlap sacks. That does a good job. So, but anyway, this is Albie the Bee Man. I've got all these hives and a whole pile in the other yard to try to get all these sacks on this evening. And hope y'all have a good evening, and hope you have a good church service tomorrow. Lord bless and keep y'all. See you.